Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. My name is Louis Mendez. On this morning's show, we'll be looking back at yesterday's 2-0 defeat up at Preston North End. Joining me to look back at yesterday's game, first up top right is Paul Clements. How you doing, Paul?
I'm all right. Thanks, Louis. Hi, Tash. Hi, Charlton Live listeners. I think I'm a bit reality checked this morning. That's the way I describe myself, reality checked after all the euphoria of the last few games and really good results. But yeah, in need of an hour with Charlton Live. Bit of not therapy. I wouldn't say therapy, probably just a little bit of an analysis between us to get me back on the straight and narrow mentally about it.
Whatever we can do to help, Paul, we're glad to be here for you. And also there, bottom of the screen is Tash Everett. How you doing, Tash?
Hi, guys. Yeah, no, I'm good. To be honest, I agree with everything Paul just said. Feels like it's a needed therapy session, which feels strange to say when we're 12, because as we'll go into, I would have bitten your hand off for that at the start of the season if you said that for the October international break. But yeah, we all need a bit of soothing this morning, I think, after what was probably a bit of a disappointing afternoon.
And a bit of a day of it as well, really, with the trains getting up to Preston yesterday. Anyone who tried to battle through the rail system and made it, our hats off to you. It wasn't easy, but we all got there. Well, most of us got there, and hopefully we've all got somewhere near home by now as well. I certainly have. So on today's show, we'll hear the goals from Charlton TV very shortly. We'll hear the post-match reaction from the Addicts boss, Nathan Jones, and we spoke to Lloyd Jones after the game as well. We want to hear from you guys in the chat. Robert was the first one in there. We'll go into this actually a bit later. He said I thought it was a mistake dropping Bell and I would have bought Apter on instead of Nibs. But I mean, you'll hear the explanation for why Amari Bell didn't start in the interview with Nathan Jones later. It wasn't just he wasn't dropped as such. It's just something that had come up. But yeah, there's a few of you in them. Let us know your feelings on yesterday's game. Where did it go wrong? You can email us studio@charltonlive.co.uk. You can tweet us at Charlton Live or head over to the live chat section on our YouTube page and put your comment in there. Share your thoughts on yesterday's defeat as we head into the international break now. A couple of weeks off to mull over it. Paul, before we hear the goals back, it was always going to be Thierry, I guess, after the stick he was getting from some of them in the away end. But yeah, a 2-0 defeat overall. I felt like there wasn't a great deal in the game before the goals, but I don't know. I think Preston probably overall deserved the points on the day.
Yeah, I think that's a fair reflection. I'll talk a little bit about Thierry in a second, but I think I was weighing up. I was just jotting down kind of chances as they were coming up, and there weren't too many clear-cut ones for either side. I'm not sure we tested Everson throughout the entire game, actually. I think he had to come out for the ball a couple of times, but I don't think he had a meaningful save. We were either shooting wide or just missing to connect with the ball throughout the game. Whereas I felt Preston just felt more at it in that final third. Whenever they drove, you expect them to do something. And if Dobbin, their central attacking midfielder, had his shooting boots on yesterday, he had, I think, 5 chances in a cumulative 20 minutes. I mean, he had, and we had 8 all game. So it just goes to show sort of like, so on balance, I thought we had more possession than we had recent games, which was encouraging, but just we huffed and puffed and didn't really do much else. Funnily enough, Small was huffing and puffing most of the game. He was actually pretty ineffective. He was his usual ambitious self, wanting to take players on, but Ramsey seemed to have the measure of him before he had that shot and arguably lucky break in it, hitting Ramsey and looping over Kaminsky. So, but that boy has some swagger. We knew that when he was at the Valley. He's a cheeky, slightly arrogant chappy, and us giving him grief really didn't pay off with his finger to the lips, the cheeky so-and-so.
Yeah, we talk more about that. I guess if anything was ever coming, as soon as some of the away fans decided, right, we're going to target Thierry today. Well, I'm sure the bookies might have seen a few bets going on him scoring because it just felt inevitable. Let's have a listen back to the goals then. These are the highlights from Charlton TV. Brownie was alongside Terry Smith.
Forward up to Armstrong, tees it up for Vukcevic, looks to go past Burke and gets the cross in. Doherty with something on it. It'll drop to McCann, who tees up Dobbin on the outside. Now Thierry Small takes the shot. Oh, it's deflected in. Whether that will go down as a small goal remains to be seen, but Preston have the lead.
They do. There's a touch of fortune about it. But that'll make no difference to Thierry Small. He was the last Preston player to have that strike on goal, and it takes a wicked deflection into the ground. Kaminsky goes to save the shot, so he commits his weight forward, and as it bounces up and over, he can't adjust to make the save. And Preston take the lead.
Switches it across. Looking for Hughes, who sort of face plants it into Armstrong's path. Well, the run, that has to be offside, surely. The run from Devine. The linesman on this side doesn't give a thing, and then Jemison finishes. Well, I've got to say, the linesman down here who'd flagged pretty much everything in the first half, I think missed that, unless my angles are completely wrong, but Preston have a 2-goal lead.
Yeah, I mean, it looked offside. And considering he was eagle-eye, wasn't he? First half, if there was a shoulder blade or a fingernail offside, he was giving it, and this one he's ignored. But it's no good having a pop at him. You know, we've got ourselves in a position where we're a goal behind, chasing the game, and you're going to leave yourself a little bit short at the back, and you're going to have moments like that. They've converted. Preston lead 2-0, and that's the killer goal.
There we go. That's the goals from Charlton TV. One thing I will clarify just before we get any further. I don't know if you can see this on the screen, actually. It's tiny, but I did take a screenshot. This is just after the Geezers kicked the ball for the second goal. The guy, I'd say, is about 5 yards onside. He was probably near a 7 or 8 by the time he actually kicked the ball. It was just one of those ones where Jones had stepped out. Was that Devine, I think, who put in the cross for them, went forward. So in the split second, it changes very quickly. But actually, at the time the ball was played, he was a country mile onside. So it was a very good decision by the official there, you have to say. There were some other decisions by the officials that Nathan Jones wasn't too happy with, which we'll come on to after hearing the interview with him, Tash. But yeah, I mean, your overall thoughts on the game yesterday? Because at half time, as Paul said, there weren't many chances in the game. We got into some areas. I thought Charlie Kelman got into areas out wide and put in some good crosses, but Preston defended their box very well, and we didn't create enough. But second half, they did have that huge chance before the goal, and then once the goal went in, it felt like the writing was on the wall.
Yeah, once their goal went in, I turned around to my parents and I said, you know what, I actually I regret saying this, that obviously, but I said I wouldn't mind if we go on and concede more if it means we actually chase and try and score here, as Jones has done in other games. At QPR we went for that goal, and we tried to go for a second or third. That kind of backfired in the end, obviously, but I'd rather that. But I just felt like all of yesterday, it just didn't feel like us. I think the first half, as you said, I was happy to go in at halftime 0-0. I thought Preston had the better of the chances. Like, I can't remember the player on the left-hand side that Bree was coming up against, but he had so much joy there. And they did, unfortunately for them, if they had better shooting boots, they probably could have gone 1 or 2 up, because they did have a few opportunities. Having said that, I didn't think there was loads between us and them. I think we easily could have scored as well. Few opportunities, but I think coming out for the second half, I thought it just reminded me of Derby again, where I felt like we just looked a bit flat. Obviously, a number of people have pointed it out that we are coming up to the international break. We do just look tired. I think Preston looked like the side that were, if I watched the goals back a minute ago, they looked like they wanted it more. Like, obviously, the small goal, if you watch it back, no one's really marking him. He's sort of just waiting for the ball to fall to him. Everyone's too focused on the guy on the edge of the box, and he obviously scores his goal. But there's just so many moments in that game where I was like, it's just not like us. Like at Derby, when we'll cut this team some slack. They've given us a brilliant start to the season, and one that I couldn't have even imagined really, but I had some really great moments. But it's frustrating that it's moments like that have cost us, because we are so much better than that. And again, I touched on it before. I think that comes down to being tired and probably needing a moment to reset on those, doing the basics and being the best version of ourselves, etc., etc. But that their second goal, I know, obviously, as you said, Louis, I think they probably maybe thought it was offside. I thought it was offside when I first watched it back, realised it wasn't. But yeah, they just charged for us in the end, and we just looked a bit defeated. So yeah, once that first goal went in, I thought, yeah, either we're going to chase the game here and try and get another goal, or we're just going to go and concede more. But it's just a funny one. I mean, and Joe, as you said, we'll come on to it, but Jones obviously wasn't pleased with the ref. had a word with him afterwards. I wasn't either. I thought, maybe I have my Charlton hat on too much here, but there are definitely some moments in the first half, like that guy doing a piggyback and doing a somersault over TC somehow wasn't a foul. Like little moments like that. That throw in, I didn't think was their throw in, but at the end of the day, now that I've slept on it, you can't blame the ref for the fact that we just weren't good enough yesterday. But that's okay. It's we're allowed to have off days, especially in the Championship where every single game is going to be hard and it's going to be competitive. So, yeah, disappointing, but I'm not, in the context of everything, I think it was probably due a loss, maybe, after some of the showings in Derby.
Yeah, I mean it's our first defeat in 5 games, which again goes to show how well we are doing. Yeah, I think we didn't look enough like scoring yesterday, which is why as soon as the first goal went in, it did feel like the writing was on the wall. But I mean, talk about the goal. I mean, let's talk about the reaction with Thierry then, Paul. So I don't know. I was a little bit surprised that he was getting so much stick from the away end. Like it's an age-old story. A footballer does quite well, gets a better offer, and goes somewhere else. Like it's not like we haven't seen it before. So I was a little bit surprised. I know it is quite funny to do it sometimes as well, and just try and wind him up. But with Thierry, he played a very similar performance to what we were used to seeing from him. Like he was aggressive on the ball and good taking it forward and tricky to defend against. But then obviously his crossing overall wasn't great. There's a few times he put the ball out of play, but then he got into areas to try and have a shot. And this time, I mean, there was a bit of luck to it. Ramsey tried to close it down, but it was just a sort of fluky deflection off him and went over. And then he obviously, having received all that stick, he gave a little bit back, which again, I don't think you really can complain about too much if we've been giving him 90 minutes worth of abuse.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one, Thierry. I felt toward the end of last season, probably what was it, the last 6 to 8 games, we saw Thierry kind of taken off a bit more frequently by Nathan, and he was changing it up. And I don't know if it was all about money or if it was money combined with the fact that he actually played on a side that he was unaccustomed to throughout his youth career. He's a left-sided player. And I know they're utilising him, or they did utilise him there again yesterday, but I know he's also played down the left-hand side for Preston this season, where I suspect he's more comfortable. But point being, he has, as I mentioned earlier, he's got such a high degree of confidence about himself. I think he would believe that he can play every game 90 minutes and affect the game with what he does. And as I say, I just got a sense that there was a little bit less consistency in that final period of last season, combined with what I have no doubt was probably a decent offer from us, but just didn't match Preston's. And so I think fair enough, he goes on his way. So similarly, I was a bit surprised that he got as much stick as he did yesterday, because I don't really think he deserved it. I think he put a really good shift in for us for 18 months. He didn't do a Scotty Parker or something like that of yesteryear. So I felt for him a little bit. That said, he's a professional, and we forget, because he's played so many games at such a young age, that actually he is still really young. And I think he could have just been a bit wiser in score the goal and celebrate with the fans, and not immediately turn around and put his finger to his lips and tell everybody to calm down. So that's part of his personality. He's just, as I say, he's a bit arrogant, basically, and that's, so that was bound to happen. A bit of a pity. I will still keep my eye on his development. I appreciated his time here. I've got no ill feeling toward him, really. Let's put it this way: if he'd signed again and was playing for us this season, regardless of how Bree's done in recent games or Apto, etc., I wouldn't have had any complaints. He was a good player for us. So it's a bit unfortunate. Maybe he'll reflect upon it a little bit, but maybe he won't actually. No, what am I talking about? No, he's quite arrogant. He'd have thought, no, I gave them exactly what they deserved. So we'll have to go again at the Valley and see how that plays out.
Yeah. Dudley says, put yourself in Thierry's shoes. The stick would have just increased his incentive. Michael said, did anyone find it funny there was literally one single Preston fan who celebrated with Small? It was quite funny. He ran to the front and just one fella, and he just had to have like an awkward hug with him when he scored his goal, which was, yeah, relatively funny. He made 3 subs immediately after the goal, Tash. I think Nibs came on, Alafe came on. Liban had come on a bit earlier as well, and I think that's when Bell came on as well. So did try and switch things up a bit because, like I say, there were times, it's not even started the second half. We had a cross that went towards the far post that TC didn't quite gamble, and we got some good crosses into the box, but Preston just dealt with everything, or we didn't attack it properly. So there were moments there, but he did try and shake it up. But again, I think Alafe had one sort of half decent run, but I didn't really feel like a massive sea change in the game once those 3 subs came on yesterday. It just didn't feel like we were going to get back into it really.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Like Preston did a very good job on us. They're very good defensively, and that is why they are where they are. I think they're in the playoff places after yesterday. So, they're not an easy team to play against. Borough found that out when they were top of the league, and they went there and they drew. Like they are very good. And unfortunately, for a side that's struggling to score goals, obviously the Blackburn game was brilliant, and I thought that maybe we're going to kick on here. And I appreciate it's difficult away from home. It's a different scenario. I understand that. But I would have liked to have thought that we would have shown a little bit more promise up front yesterday. It's so frustrating because, I've really wanted to give the TC Kelman partnership as much time as it's needed. And I do think particularly Kelman has improved a lot from where he started. I think when he first came in, it was sort of like he was in no man's land a lot of the time, not really through his own fault at times. So he just wasn't getting service and he didn't really know where he fitted in that system. But I think we've seen him go into it more and more. But I think, and I'm sure loads of people are touching this in the chat, like it's got to the point where I think we do probably need to have a bit of a think about that. And, the elephant in the room being, yeah, we probably need Matty Gordon back. But in the meantime, we have great options. It's not like these people are allergic to scoring goals. We've seen them do it for other clubs and for our own. So I just hope, I'm glad I'm not the manager because I wouldn't know who to start, to be honest. I mean, I would lean towards Tanto, but because he scored, but I don't know. But I think yesterday with the subs, because we're missing Josh Edwards, and I know against Blackpool, they're not in this league, Blackburn, that it actually weirdly, not through Josh's fault, but it weirdly worked for us having Bell on that side and pushing up and adding that element to our game, and the rest is history. But I think yesterday, that went under the radar a little bit, just how much we were missing him, because especially in the second half when we were chasing the point, or I think it might have been before we conceded or after, Berry came on. Every time we were going down that right-hand side, every single time. So Preston are like, great, we'll just put loads of men there. They're not going to get anything out of this, even though there were people waiting on that left-hand side, like that could have done something. It was consistently down that right-hand side. So they're obviously missing that outlet, and it obviously made us very one-dimensional. So that doesn't help in terms of creating chances because it's just immediately easy to solve for Preston. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, at Sheffield United, bringing on Nibs and Leeburn and Tanto was the golden ticket to 3 points. So it's hard to knock that. But I don't know if yesterday was the right time. And like even bringing on Berry, I think that sucked the life out of our midfield, not because it was Berry's fault, but any control that we had there just sort of dissipated, I felt, with Coventry going off. So yeah, it was just one of those. I don't particularly hang the blame on Jones's head. I just think it was just a bad day. I don't think it worked.
Would you change the front two that start then, Paul? Because I mean, it's neither of them scored a goal. That's we can see that. But I don't think we had a shot on target yesterday. Kelman and TC though, overall, I still feel like they're quite a big part in how we play, the pace, the stretching. Like there was a lot of that yesterday. Like I say, Kelman getting into wide areas and putting in crosses that Preston defended well. I mean, I think we should also remember that Preston are a decent side. Their home record is unbelievable. I think so. They're unbeaten at home this season. They lost 4 games at home last season. So just off that, so far, that's 4 defeats in 28 home league games for Preston, and that's playing Championship sides all that time. I haven't even bothered looking how many they had the season before. So that run might even be 4 in nearly 30, 32. Who knows how they ended the season before? But they are good and they did defend well. I think we had there was only 2 sides that conceded fewer goals than us coming into this yesterday's game. Preston had only conceded 1 more than us, so they do defend their box well, and that was clear when those crosses were going in. They were cutting them out, but we didn't create a shot on target. At some point, you know, when we got the 3 against Blackburn, that was good, but and we felt maybe it'd been coming because we were having lots of chances. But yesterday it just didn't quite click. So does that mean we have to change the front two, or does that mean we persevere with what we've got and just hope that at one point these good bits that they clearly bring to the game, which is why they're still playing, will turn into goals for them as well as other people?
Yeah, I don't think we should contemplate changing the front two off the back of the Preston game, because, as you say, Louis, they've been pretty resolute in defence. They've kept clean sheets, and they've kept, you know, they've made a good account of themselves early start of the season. So I don't think it's about that. I think where we're at, the truth is, statistically, we've played 9 games and neither Kelman nor TC have scored. And for all the exciting moments they can provide, and more so TC actually than Kelman, although his game, as Tash said, has absolutely improved over the last 3 or 4 games. He's really starting to get into it. But TC's mazy runs and kind of a shot across, you know, and we saw that a couple of times at Blackburn. Really unlucky, probably not to have scored in that game. But they've not scored. Statistically, if your 2 front players haven't got a goal in 9 games, any manager's got to think, is this working? Is this working as I'd expect it to do? I think the issue he probably has at the moment is that, like for like alternatives, Tanto, I personally think Tanto could do the TC role, but his work rate is a bit different. He seems to be, and maybe it's just because he's not had enough minutes to really get into the rhythm of how we press, but his press, I don't think, is always as effective as TC's from what I've seen thus far. But as I say, that's probably unfair on Tanto because he's not had enough minutes yet. Leeburn is a completely different animal to Kelman in terms of his playing style and how they'd utilise him. I think that if Leeburn played, the temptation, whether it's Macaulay or Bell at left, will be just swinging that ball up to his head most of the time. And maybe Jones is keen to avoid that. So what are we doing? Waiting for Godden, nearly waiting for Goddo, which is but we are nearly waiting for Godden, and who knows when he'll be back. It sounds like he's not quite there yet, and he's continuing to face some inflammation post his op, though he's back on the grass. So we can't hang everything on him. What I would say is that if we were to change it up front, then we've got to think about how do we ensure that the wing backs are more dynamic and a bit more like the Thierry Small type play of last year. So does that beg the question that Apter comes back in the fray, who's willing to have a go and take players on? Because you do need that in the side. It's not all about pressing and passing, etc. You need a couple of players that can actually take somebody on 1-to-1 and stand a chance of breaking that down and opening up a chance. And I think that that's why he's been persevering with TC, because he sees him as that player. So if you take him out, you either need to, see if Tanto can do the same, or have somebody on the wing that can definitely do that. And ideally a couple of those players in the side. So it's not an easy question to answer. I think Nathan will probably spend the next couple of weeks and give it a lot of thought, because he isn't daft. He'll recognise that his strikers aren't firing yet. That said, my lad told me that even though he finished with an absolute hat full of goals, Charlie Kelman didn't really start get going for the first 10 to 20 games. It was really the second half of the season where he really, really hit the net frequently. So, it's not panic stations. Look at the stats. We've scored a few, we've let in a few, but it's all been very tight so far. I think if we'd let in a bucket full and we were scoring a few, I'd be a bit concerned about it. I think there's a lot of teams that aren't particularly prolific unless you're a Coventry City with Haji Wright, etc., hitting a ton early on. So I'm not particularly worried, but I do think Nathan is going to have to consider coming out that international break whether or not he changes it up a little bit, because the dynamic doesn't feel right in terms of the strikers not scoring, particularly from open play.
Yeah, because one thing that I've picked up on a lot, people say this about strikers all the time, is that once Kelman gets one, he'll get a load. But the issue with that is, like, how many chances has he had this season? So I think even if he gets one, I wouldn't expect him then go and get a hat trick the next week, because we still don't create that many chances for him. That doesn't seem like I say, yesterday his best moments popped up sort of out wide, so he was more likely to get an assist than a goal yesterday, for example. It just felt that yeah, we need to create more chances for the strikers. That's why I even wonder if Godden coming back immediately would make a massive difference, because similar to at times last season, if we're not creating the chances for the strikers, then they ain't going to score goals. Like I say, I still think they bring other stuff to the game, and Kelman and TC both have their merits, but I can see the conversation. Keith said he thinks, I said last week that Thierry needs to drop to the bench for a game or two. He can come on later and run at tired legs. Kelman needs someone to play off of. Mark said, come on, Louis, we can all look at games in isolation. Yes, Preston were decent, but Derby weren't, and the front line, aside from the touch, was very poor and struggled to threaten again. Yeah, I guess they were both involved in the goal we scored, but yeah, well, how many shots did they have between them? Not many, maybe on Tuesday from memory. Murray says we have 5 strikers, 4 of them are inexperienced at this level. It will take time for them to adjust. We need Godden back. We need to try and find a combination that works. Lee Burn and Kelman were on the pitch at the same time yesterday it felt like about 10 minutes. I have to check the actual timings of the subs, Tash, but it felt like we hadn't seen that a great deal before. Robert saying Kelman and Lee Burn up top, Bree right wing back with Apter left wing back would provide great crossing chances. Would Kelman and Lee Burn be one that you'd like to see more? Is that the silver bullet to the goal scoring situation?
Potentially. I mean, I know Miles hasn't played in the Championship before, so yeah, as one of the guys pointed out, everyone it's a big learning curve. Like Tanto, from the top of my head, hasn't been in Championship either, so there's a lot of learning to be done there. Same with Kelman, apart from his stuff at QPR. But I think, yes, I mean, I can't be completely honest, I can't really remember them creating anything together yesterday when it was them two up top, from off the top of my head. But I can see that working. I feel like I love TC, and him and Lee Burn offer completely different things, obviously. But I do feel like there's an element of, once Lee Burn comes on, there is an extra pressure for defences to deal with. It's sort of, not that I'm comparing him to an EK, but he is that physical presence. Like, he is big. Like, even from defensive point of view, it's good having him on the pitch. But I think the biggest thing with Kelman is, at the moment, I feel like he's the one that's feeding balls into TC, not the other way around, which I thought it would have been. And that's fine, provided that we score goals, but we're not at the moment. So if there was a situation where you could have Lee Burn on the pitch and he could do the holding up of the ball instead of Kelman doing the holding up of the ball, even though he's done all right at that recently, I think you'd probably have a bit more joy. But the thing is, as you said, Kelman hasn't had that many chances. I've not really been able to see how he is in front of goal. Being completely honest, he's always been the one putting the ball in the box, or at Derby, holding the ball up and creating that move. I've not really seen him with a clear-cut chance going, okay, here's my moment, not that one that springs to mind. So I think it might help. I think having someone going, I'm going to win the ball for you. You run onto my pass. There you go. And then we can snowball from there. Honestly, at this point, I'm happy to try whatever combination. But I think, yeah, potentially that would work.
Excellent stuff. Right, Nick says the way that Jones plays means it's going to be tough on players to play 3 times a week, and I did think that, when we were sort of sticking in it. I mean, Michael said, I'll tidy this one up for the younger audiences. I think it's becoming clear that our style of play is going to be mainly based on poo-housing results, and a lot of the time it's just not going to come off. We have to accept that. Yesterday, if we weren't massively looking like scoring until they had that header about 5 minutes before the goal, they were having half chances. I didn't massively feel like we were in danger as well. So I did think, let's just get through this. If we can take a 0-0 home, I'll be quite happy. But then we did clearly tire in the second half. We had Amari Bell missing through calf problem, and he could only do a certain amount of minutes. So there were people on the wrong side in Ramsey, things like that. I just think it did seem to catch up with us a little bit. Paul says, we're going to lose games in this league, and frankly, we aren't losing as many as I thought we would when we came up. We'll have off days and even stretches of games where things aren't clicking. And that, hopefully, we're into the international break now. And last time we went into the international break, that was off the back of the QPR game. And we came back with Millwall, where we didn't win, but we played pretty well. So, hopefully we'll come out the other side of this international break revitalized and looking like that we can string a few results together again. Right, let's have a listen to the Addicts boss, Nathan Jones. Still got loads of your messages to come to as well, but I caught up with Nathan after yesterday's 2-0 defeat up at Deepdale. Defeat here at Preston, how did you see it today?
It's a game of real fine margins, you know. Both teams, real honesty, really well matched, went up against each other, and we got let down by a decision. They scored a goal, first goal, forget the second goal because we're trying to chase the game, we changed shape, we tried to go after it. But the first goal is always going to be about the first goal. Got let down by a decision of the officials. They then went up the other side and scored, and that's what it is, and that's my real disappointment. Could we have been better? Yeah. Could we have taken chances? Yeah. Could we have done a little bit more? But it was a game of real margins today, you know, and that's what's cost us the game, and it's just a real disappointment.
What did you say to the referee at full time?
I didn't say anything to him. Literally didn't say anything to him, but apparently I'll get clarity on why I've been booked, because I don't know, because I didn't say anything. I said I'm going to come in and see you and things. No arms on my side, no dissent, no nothing at all. But I've been booked, so it's easy for them to do pretty much what they want. They can cost us a game, or they can make decisions that contribute heavily to us losing the game. But I'm the one that gets punished, and double punished. So I'll go in and get clarity, because I have no idea why I've been booked.
The decision that you say they got wrong in the build-up to the goal, they can just clarify which one you're talking about?
Breeze headed it onto their guy, it's gone out, it's clear for everyone to see, we think, and get it the other way. They throw it quickly, they go down, they cross it in, they score. And, you know, it's fourth official standing in the same position as me, I can see it clearly. Linesman, who's all he's got to do, referee, don't blame the referee, because he relies on people around there. And then they'll go, oh, well, I didn't quite see all this sad. And that was it. And all we ask is for just to get simple decisions right. We know they're going to make mistakes, we know they're going to miss a foul, or they're going to miss something, but then you give them a foul on the edge of the box. He wasn't even looking at the game. The referee wasn't even looking at the game. Their man just said that the fourth official gave it, and he said, I haven't given it. And he wasn't even looking at the game. But all he did, saw someone fall over and just gave it. And it's just inventing little things. And that's a frustrating thing. Little margins, you know. And this league is tight and it's tough. And you've got two teams going at it, two honest teams going at it. And that's cost us today.
Yeah, it felt like there wasn't a great deal in the game at all before the goal, was there?
There wasn't, you know, difficult conditions. Both teams play with honesty, you know, and a commitment, and all you just ask is just get simple things right. Get simple things right, and we come off it. And if we've been beaten by a wonderful team or a wonderful goal, we accept it. That hasn't been the case today, and we're vociferous in our thing. But that's life.
It's the first defeat in 5. I guess that's not a bad run to be having in the Championship.
Yeah, but I don't just want us to accept anything. You know, we've been in two good positions. Millwall and Tuesday were in really good positions. Could be categorically different. We come here today and this team doing really well, blustery, and they give me everything. So I want us to take the next step. I know we're a Championship side. We're not just survival. That isn't us. I know that. I knew that before the beginning of the season. I just want us to take that next step, because could have been top 6, could have been 3rd on Tuesday night if we hold out. Could have been today. I just want us to take that next step back. This is our first season back, so I have to be realistic. I have to be, you know, understanding with certain stuff. But I'm just raging today because of little simple things.
Just on the one change you made today with Amari going to the bench and Kane coming in, was that tactical, or has Amari just got to manage his minutes a bit?
Amari woke up this morning with a stiff calf. He'd done 90 minutes in a different position, you know, to what he normally does. He woke up with a stiff calf. We prepared yesterday with Amari playing in that position. It's just we had to make a change, and that's what it was. It wasn't anything tactical. We had to do that.
International break now, has that come at a good time or a bad time?
It's come at a good time, you know. They've given me everything. We're unbeaten in September. You go unbeaten in September with 2 wins, 2 draws. You know, that's a good thing. It's just today, I'm disappointed today to go into it. You know, if we'd lost the first game in September and then remained unbeaten, we'd be in a different mindset now. But look, for me, in my opinion, and in the video's opinion, and we got let down today, and we think so. I don't want to get in trouble, but he gives the right decision there. They don't score the first goal. The first goal is essential, and that's it.
PSF Steel Limited is a trade supplier of steel fabrication and erection services to the new build, construction and refurbishment market in southern England. With their unrivaled depth of experience, they excel at providing their customers with high quality and cost-effective steel fabrication solutions. Their customers include national and regional house builders, such as Barratt Homes, Bellway Homes, the Vistry Group and Taylor Wimpey. They pride themselves on their service-based ethos and commitment to customer service excellence, which includes full technical backup and on-site services and support. If you would like more information, go to www.psfsteel.co.uk. That's www.psfsteel.co.uk.
Hello fellow addicts, I'm so excited to tell you all about our micropub, the River Ale House. The River Ale House is based in East Greenwich. It has 6 Pub of the Year awards, an ever-changing selection of amazing beer. It's owned by Charlton fans, walkable to the ground in just 20 minutes with buses that go direct to the Valley too. If your matchday routine includes a drink with your friends, you must join your fellow addicts in the River. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to Charlton Live on your Sunday morning. We're looking back at yesterday's 2-0 defeat against Preston North End. Just before the break there, Paul, we heard from the Addicts boss, Nathan Jones, and we heard a lot about the referee, actually. So, I mean, he came in and he didn't look massively happy when he came up to the press conference room. But, yeah, I mean, you could probably tell in the interview, I had no idea what decision he was talking about. We were on the far side. And to be honest, like once a goal happens, I normally forget what's happened about 30 seconds before or a few seconds before. So he clarified it was a throw-in that went the wrong way. Little moments like that can change games, but at the same time, obviously, defensively, we've got a block on it, but could we have got a better block? Could we have closed down Thierry? All these sort of things will come up when you concede a goal. Luke says if we had wrongfully conceded a free kick that they scored from, I get it, but lamenting a throw-in is a bit of a reach. These things, I mean, like I say, I guess little moments like that, but at the same time, when we have little moments inside the area, we have to make them count so that a throw-in going the wrong way isn't the big game changer that it ends up being.
Yeah, there's quite a lot to unpack, I think, from Nathan's interview for the first time this season. I mean, I think the bottom line is, one of the surprises I had, or the biggest consistency, is that the referees have been cack in this division all season so far. I mean, I go into Charlton Life and put my scores in for the team and the refs. I think only on 2 out of 9 occasions have they got above a 5 in terms of rating. So I think Nathan and the fans and everybody else have to accept that with that level of consistent poor performance, you're going to get a few of those decisions go against you. But that in itself, regardless of it leading to the first goal, doesn't mean to say it's the reason why we lost. There's a bottom line, and we've been discussing it throughout the show. We didn't have any shots on target yesterday. And we also had probably, when was that, the 66th, 67th minute? So what do you have, 23, 24 minutes plus stoppage time. So you had best part of half an hour to get back into it and get an equaliser. You can't rely. So I'm a little bit surprised to have heard what he said in that interview, because I think it was more to do with the fact that Preston were a well-drilled side that managed to keep our chances very limited to outside the box or wide shots yesterday, the few that we had. And we run out a bit of steam. And we might come on to talk about substitutions, but if we think about the subs that were made, they were what I'd call hard-working, quality passing players. Again, as soon as TC came off, we lost that dynamism, really. Rob Apter could have possibly come on. Hernandez is allegedly, I've not seen that player play, but from what I've read, he's apparently exceptionally unpredictable. He runs at players and he pops up in different positions. Maybe that's something that we needed yesterday, something just a bit different. It all felt very conventional when we were still working hard and giving it a go, but I put it down to that more than I do a refereeing or a linesman or a fourth official decision. I don't think you can base results on that when you know that they're just going to be poor every week. And the booking, it just makes me laugh. I think that Nathan's got such a reputation as having quite a hot head when things don't go our way, that I suspect it was the caution just in case he did blow up any second rather than what he did, because I actually saw him approaching the ref, and he was absolutely calm and his arms were down by his side. There was nothing in it, but I think it was a precautionary measure by the ref just to get him to go away.
Well, I watched that back this morning as well, and the highlights on YouTube, and his arms were by his side, which is quite a funny thing for a manager to have to say. Like, I didn't elbow him, but his face, Corey, looked absolutely terrifying when he was going up to the referee yesterday. He was fuming. I was watching that. I was like, blimey, I ain't seen that face since I mentioned 1 win in 9. But yeah, it's maybe a harsh book. I don't know if the rule is generally you're not allowed to go and walk to the referee now, because I feel like hearing that at some point. But all managers still do, and go and say hello and sometimes shake their hand and thank them for refereeing the game. But Nathan, as I said, kept his hands to himself yesterday. Steve says that every defeat so far has felt like Armageddon. We need to make sure we don't overreact from every defeat. We have probably started better than any of us would have imagined we would, and I think that's fair. I want to say that it's always the case when we do the post-game show, because we always are concentrating on one game. I think all of us we're thinking more so about yesterday, which we lost. So we're a little bit disappointed, and particularly with the travel situation, which I'll talk about after we hear from Lloyd later on. I mentioned about Amari Bell earlier on, wasn't fully fit. That's why he didn't start, and I do think that doesn't help. I suggested maybe we're a little bit imbalanced because of that. Having Ramsey playing on the wrong side just didn't feel quite right yesterday, Tash.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, literally, I feel like I don't think I necessarily would have started Apter, but yeah, I think the more that the game went on, and as I touched on earlier, like we were so reliant on that right-hand side that I was sort of thinking, like, surely this is the most obvious substitution. I mean, I don't know if, he might have had something wrong, or I don't know, like, but it seems a bit strange to me that it's suddenly gone. He was arguably our best player in August, and now he's just suddenly dropped off the face of the earth. It does seem a little bit strange. I'm not suggesting anything's gone on there, but just I don't understand why in that scenario you wouldn't have brought him on. And even if it didn't work, at least it's us being positive and going, there, here we go. Here's an outlet left side player that we know can create opportunities and it could get the crosses in and do all this, that, and the other. So it's a bit strange, but yeah, I feel like Bell was a big miss yesterday, actually. And I think I said this before, but when he started the first game of the season, my eyebrows were raised because I thought, it's quite bold changing that back line, especially after how good it's been. But he's done really well. He's been a really important player for us. So maybe that change in personnel yesterday didn't help. I think that's something that I've thought about a lot over the last couple of weeks is, as much as, we have a big squad now, so let's use it. It's a long season. I appreciate that. We are going to have to change things now and again because you can't start the same 11 every single game. But I do think that there might be an element of just feeling a little bit unsettled still, which is a shame to feel like that still in October, but it's still very early days in the context of the season. So I think there's a little bit of, I think we probably did miss him yesterday, and he did a great job against Blackburn going down that left-hand side. Whether he would have started at left wing back, I don't know. But yeah, it's a shame. I think he was a miss yesterday.
Yeah, James said that Apter is becoming the new saver now. Is it? I guess the difference between Apter and Terry Taylor last season is we've already seen him play well, so that's good at least. But yeah, maybe he'll get more game time. Who knows? I think Bree's done so well that I can see why you don't take him out. But at the same time, when things needed to change yesterday, maybe he could have been an option, but wasn't the one we ended up going for. Michael, just back on the interview, Paul. Michael said, I don't blame Nathan for taking out on the officials. It's just a tactic to protect his players as well. It's almost propaganda. But that's very much the Jose Mourinho school of thought, isn't it? Like you deflect, you talk about something else rather than heap pressure on your players who've just lost the first game in 5 and maybe weren't at their best, but on another day might have ground out a 0-0. Maybe, do you think that was part of it, or do you think Nathan, I have often got the feeling that Nathan just says what he thinks all the time, and that's what he's thinking at the time, so that's what he said?
Yeah, no, I think it's the latter. I think he's a very, very honest guy, and as he sees it, he gets very emotional about everything. One of our players mispassed the ball, he gets emotional, and they know about it. And he gets absolutely elated. I can't imagine what's inside his body when we score, we win. You see, he goes absolutely ballistic with excitement. So that's the type of individual he is. He's very emotional, and he will get upset about what he will see as those fine margins. And I think it's not the first one. When we go a goal down, or worse still, 2, his body language does change a little bit. I think that he is a manager with a psychology that if you can get your nose in front, he's feeling good, but when we're on the back foot, I hope they prove me wrong. But this season, if we go 2 goals down, I don't think we're the sort of side that would come back 3-2. We're just not set up in that way. I think it's an important part of the way in which he sets us up, that we keep it tight and try to nick that first goal. So I think he is honest about protecting players. I don't think they needed protecting. I think everybody knows that they gave it their best shot. It wasn't lack of work rate or anything like that. I think there were a few that were probably a bit tired after, when you're going Saturday, Tuesday, and playing at the intensity levels that we do. No doubt they're going to tire a little bit, but the Charlton fans will be forgiving around that. We're not going to be booing them for poor performance or whatever. So I don't think he needs to protect them. I think we know they're giving their absolute all. It was just one of those days. And as I say, I mean, earlier on, we want to talk about it all. And it was a bit of a reality check in terms of there being some really competitive teams in this league, Preston being one of them, that's going to give us a tough day at the office. But Sash said earlier, you look at where we are currently in the league, 1-3, drawn 3, lost 3 with very tight games. We're in a cracking position. We get to that all-important 10th game next time out, get 3 points, and you're on 15. And you look at last year's table by comparison, all those teams were suitably safe in mid-table or pushing towards the playoffs. Even where we are points-wise, it's none too shabby. So I think we've had a really good start, and then you have to just put things into perspective on that, on the basis of all of those games, not just the one we faced yesterday, which was tough and wasn't quite what we have come to expect in recent games.
And 10th game is graft time as well. It was a very long. I'll tell you about the trains in a minute, but it was a very long day yesterday. So at one point, me and a few of the Charlton fans on the train were running a few simulations on the graph just to see what would happen if we won the next few games, just to see how high the line could go or how low it would go if we lost. That was one way to pass the time, I guess. Let's have a listen to my interview with the Addict centre-half Lloyd Jones after yesterday's 2-0 defeat up at Preston. Lloyd, it's a defeat here at Preston. How did you see it today?
I thought it was quite a cagey game. Don't think the conditions helped, but it's the same for both sides. And, you just see you should be able to hear me with that. It's just the conditions didn't really help. And, but like I said, it's the same for both sides, but that's the difference in the Championship. First goal can be crucial in these games.
The wind here is absolutely outrageous at pitch side. What was it like to play in?
Yeah, not great. I'd rather the wind wasn't here, but like I keep saying, it's the same for both sides, and I'm just really frustrated about the result.
What about the overall performance? Because there wasn't a great deal in the game today until the first goal, maybe.
No, literally there was nothing in it. I thought we come out second half. I thought we looked bright. We had the wind with us. Seemed to have changed in the last 30 minutes. God knows how, but yeah, it's just fine margins. Obviously, it took a lucky deflection's gone in, but that's the Championship for you.
Yeah, Nathan was quite disappointed with the decision in the build-up to the goal. I don't know if you were close to a throw-in that went the wrong way.
Yeah, I don't really want to get myself in trouble, but I cannot understand how they've seen this Preston's throwing. I could see it. I was even the wrong side of it, and it's right in front of the fourth official. I don't know if he can change it, but it just obviously they score from that. We can still defend it better, but yeah, I'm shocked by that decision.
The step up to the Championship so far has thrown up a couple of games like this where it can be tight games and they can get decided on tight margins. And does that show the step up that the club have made overall?
Yeah, definitely. But I still think we're in a good place. Today's a really frustrating one. Thought our away form obviously went away at Derby. I think any good point away from home in the Championship is a good point. So we're not in bad form, but today obviously we'll have to take the hit and then have a few days off and then come back ready for Sheff Wednesday.
How have you assessed the start to the season so far? Because the Charlton fans seem pretty happy with what they've seen so far.
Yeah, I think we started fairly strong. We're obviously in a new league, and I think some of the early games we could have got all 3 points. But like I keep saying, that's the Championship for you. If you don't take your chances, then you can get punished at the other end.
Personally, of course, I know you played a handful of games at this level before, but to be up here, full time now, what does it feel like? How have you found the step up in quality? What's the difference?
I'm loving it personally. I'm absolutely loving it, playing against better players, bigger stadiums, bigger crowds. I think I've done okay so far. Obviously want to keep improving as much as I can, but yeah, I'm relishing the challenge and I'm absolutely loving it.
What do you think that Charlton as a club can achieve this season? Because there's been a very good start coming up to this second international break.
I think the gaffer said after the game, obviously the first 4 games we got 4 points, and then obviously after the international break we got 8. So Just keep ticking away at the points, winning as many games we can. Obviously, we're back at home for the next game, so want to go for 3 points and yeah, just see where we end up.
Just finally, because I'm sure you'd like to mention the fans. I don't know if you're aware of the train problems that some of them have had coming up here today, going all over the place just to get here. Just a message for them.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. They follow us on the numbers. We've seen that last season. We're seeing it this season, and we can't thank them enough. And obviously, the result wasn't. We didn't thank them with the result today, but yeah, like I said, they're unbelievable, and as a team, we really thank them for spending their money and spending hours to come support us.
There you go, Lloyd Jones. I had a quick chat with him yesterday. Such a good bloke as well, Lloyd. I've got so much time for him. His performances on the field of play have been brilliant, and he's he's just a really good character. I think he's got a lot of time for the supporters who made that trip yesterday. So just to give you the really boring detail of how long it took to get there, and quite a lot of people turned around and went home. So we've got an email from Carl, which I'll come on to in a minute. I think he turned around and went home, but. I was on the 8:30 out of Euston, the early train, which was a slow train to get to Preston via Birmingham, and we left about 20 minutes later for us. Not off to a great start, but at least we've left, because then Rich and Kyle and quite a few people were on the next one, which was a direct train, and that got cancelled. Then trains kept getting cancelled, so I was all cocky sitting on my train to Preston, telling her, "Oh, you're gonna have to go to Manchester. I'll meet you there," sort of thing. But then at that point, my train also got cancelled. So we got told you have to get off either at Wolverhampton or at Birmingham. So I got off at Birmingham, piled onto a train to Manchester, which again left 20 minutes late. I was stood in a bike rack, which I didn't like. There's a bit where you can hang up your bike on a hook. I was stood there hanging myself up on the hook instead of a bike for like 2 hours to Manchester. Then there was a train that went from there to Preston, which took about 40 minutes, which I barged my way onto. And Richard nearly didn't get on, even though he got there before me. But he's not a seasoned train traveller like I am. So we finally got to Preston. We got a cab there, and it was fine. And then during the game, like during the first half, I was like, "Oh, brilliant! They've already cancelled all the trains home as well." So we had to go back to Manchester, and then we got to Manchester 45 minutes before the train we wanted to get was due to leave. So I said to Rich, "I've got time to go and get some food and a sandwich." We got a sandwich. I started walking towards the platform still 35 minutes before the train was due to leave, and it was already there. We're like, "Oh no, it's going to be packed already." We got like one of the last seats, and then people were just piling on and standing room all the way back, and it left at least half an hour late. We got in, but we got home overall. So there was a way to do it via Manchester. I think apparently there was problems on the roads as well yesterday. It was just a horrible, horrible day. And it was one of those that on the way up, you're thinking, yeah, we're really going to get rewarded for this. We're going to get, and then we lost 2-0. So it was a long, long day. And not a ringing endorsement of the UK train system that once again, we've had these problems going up north as it does feel like it happens quite often. But delay repay, make sure you get your money back, because I'm entitled to a full delay repay refund, which I will be getting. All right, let's have a look at some of the emails. Carl, so yeah, it said fair play to every single one of you that made the journey. As soon as the 9:30 was cancelled, I gave up. Said on to the game. It says it's the poorest we've been this season in terms of going forward. We created very little, and the main threat were balls across the 6-yard box, but these were few and far between. Thought we lacked any real pace and direction, and when we did have those potential openings, we had no idea, real plan or willingness to take the opening. We set up to nullify Small and Preston in general, and until the header at Kaminsky, I thought we looked comfortable at the back, but appreciate they hadn't really got out of second gear. I'm going to put it down to one of those days. We have to remember it took us a while to click as a team going forward last year, and I agree with you that we look much more of an attacking threat now than we did this time last year. We could really deal with them all getting a goal each soon, though. And that's why I said I do feel until that big header, there wasn't much in terms of chances. They were doing the whole, that geezer who kept shooting over the bar, Dobbin, I think he's a lone player. Like generally, like if you're a Preston fan, you'd be like, wow, he's got in some really good areas. They'd be saying the same about him as we've been saying about some of our strikers. Like, I just needs one and that sort of thing. But yesterday he could have had a hat trick, but his shooting boots were not on. But they weren't great. They weren't great chances. Having said that, though, and yeah, right. Jane says, "Morning, Louis and the team. Not much in it yesterday. Teams breathe a sigh of relief when Tyrese Campbell goes off. Once they don't have to deal with him, they can start playing their own game." That's from Jane, because it is interesting. Like, you do get a lot of opposition fans. I haven't seen any Preston from yesterday, to be fair, saying that, TC, they always highlight TC as someone they're fearful of, because he's always on the verge of doing something, isn't he, Paul? It's just actually doing it is the next bit.
Yeah, no, and he is, and we've spoken this season so far. Despite the fact he stepped up to the Championship, there have been a lot of games where he has needed 2 players in and around him because they know what a threat he is, and that's huge credit to the lad. I mean, he really has developed well. We do need him, but he'll know that he needs to get a goal. That's not stopping him from driving and trying to have a shot. If he was only another yard further forward, he might have slid that ball in that came across from Kelman. I think it was yesterday, the cross that he put over to the left-hand side. So it will hopefully come for him. I actually think in relation to TC, bearing in mind how much running they've had to do of late, I'm probably more worried about how he comes out of the international break than anybody else, because if Jamaica have got games, I've not checked the fixtures, but if they have, he's been quite a regular starter of late. So he's got the flights over, he's got training, he'll have 1 or 2 games to play before he gets on the flight and comes back again. So unlike other players who'll be training, but probably get a bit of rest into their system, if he is expected to play another couple of games, how's he going to be faring when he comes back? I know he's young and he's fit and all the rest of it, but Nathan's system is so demanding. So I'm probably more worried about him coming out of it. And that might be the catalyst for changing it up a little bit in terms of the front 2 when he comes back, if he is jaded, because there's a lot of demand when you're traveling around the world and playing for your international side on the other side of the Atlantic.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Jamaica squad announcement, and all 4 of the Charlton lads who got called up last time have been again. So Amari's in there, Karoy's in there, TC's in there, and Kaheem Dixon is also out on loan at the moment. It's quite a sad indication of how bad my geography is, but they in their tweet they put this is for the upcoming showdown versus, and then they've just put an emoji of a flag, and I've absolutely no idea who they're playing. So there you go. It could be anyone. So Jamaica, our lads all called up for Jamaica, particularly with Amari. So you have to worry because he obviously he's had this calf problem. Funnily enough, he didn't actually play the last time he went out. So I kind of want that to be the case again. I want him to sit. Ideally, I want him to sit at home and put his feet up and rest, because I think he's been a good player for us. As Mark said, he's Jamaica will have 2 games in 4 days. So I asked Nathan Jones, Tash, the international break. Do you think it's come at a good time for us? Sometimes when you've lost a game, you want to go again straight away. Sometimes when you've lost a game and you're thinking, actually, you've got a couple of players who might need to put their feet up, and we looked a little bit tired. Maybe it's not a bad idea that those of us who can have a little bit of a rest now and then come back refreshed for a big game against Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, I think if it was one of those games where we felt like we could have got something out of it, we were left feeling, I know we're feeling frustrated regardless, but as in we felt a bit hard done by, then I think, you would want to go again because you want to be like, I want to put that right straight away. But it wasn't quite the feeling of yesterday. The overriding feeling I got was, I think this has come at a perfect time for us to go back, reset. Ono Hernandez has come in. Is Jones thinking, okay, we could try and get him in there somewhere? Like, he's got a bit of time to think about what he wants to do and the personnel he wants. And, like Bell, as he said, hopefully he doesn't play over the international break, but he can have a break to get back to fitness, gives more time to Edwards. I don't know if he's going to be out beyond that, but, it gets time for all of them to get back up to 100% again. So, I think it's a great time. I mean, it seems like the ideal game to come back to with Sheffield Wednesday at home. But, as many teams have found out this season, they're not a soft touch at the moment. So I think it will still be a good challenge. You would like to think that, they are a sort of team that we can score against. So I think, and also being at home is going to be great for us. So I think there's no harm. I'm actually, normally I don't like the international breaks, but at the moment I feel like they've probably worked our advantage, because I mean, the last one came after QPR, and we came back so much stronger after that, even though, as we said, probably should have won against Millwall, but we didn't. But that performance was something to be really proud of, and the performances following that. So let's hope that the same thing happens again. They go and recharge and gather their thoughts, and I trust Nathan Jones to know his squad and know what to do next.
Lovely stuff. Right, we're running out of time on this week's show. Dazzler said it's Curacao, which is even worse because I've literally never heard of that. So I never would have recognised their flag This is why I need an international break. I need to go and see where all the countries are. Right, we'll leave it there. Massive thanks to everyone who's joined us on this morning's show. So no shows next week because of the international break. Me and Rich will do a pod on the Substack there. If you want to sign up for that one, you still get pods throughout the international break, and you get your immediate post-match reaction as well on Richard Corley's Substack. So it's well worth signing up. He does some writing and bits on there as well, but obviously the most important thing is the pods that I do. But yeah, worth checking that out. So thanks for everyone who's joined us. Paul and Tash, absolute pleasure as always.
Thanks very much. I can come off that therapy couch feeling a bit better after that, I think. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. Cheers, guys.
Right, I still need to go for a lie down after yesterday's travails on the train. So, thanks everyone. So I'm Louis Mendes. This has been Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. We'll see you on Thursday week.
Charlton Live.